people going to be, they're gonna be jumping in. They'll probably pop up on Zoom
Facebook.
or Facebook Live from Minneapolis. He's in Houston. Who's that up in that right hand corner? Oh, that's him. Oh,
That's us. That's us right there.
Oh, I'm about to say, who's that? Man, who is that?
Help us out, sister. Help us out.
I want to rearrange this real quick.
Sounds good.
Because it's, and I wanted to look even so
Even,
y'all
so it
could
looks
do.
uneven.
Yeah, so
So-
real quick.
We gotta move
Which one's
over.
new?
Yes. Like
Over back
it-
this way?
No. Those two chairs will be on the outside. They'll be in the middle.
Okay.
And then that thing behind you needs to come out. Cameron, come help me real quick. Get that stuff from over there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, get that from over there.
These can go in the middle.
Here, Cam.
Yeah, that looks good.
Do you want that as a prop?
Oh,
like
you
you
can.
can
That's why I left it
get
over there.
those cups. Yeah, get the candle in the red and white cup.
Oh, you guys could have left your cup. You could have left the cup on there.
Oh, okay, okay.
'Cause
Okay, just get the
they gonna put
candle
that
in.
there. Now, that
I
pink chair,
still want to put this behind you guys.
Sound
so-
go up?
If
Yeah.
What, this back here?
Yep.
got it.
You just slide it in there.
No, I don't believe so. I think she's rearranging them in the studio. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll be real quick.
Well, I'm gonna eat my lunch.
Can't eat lunch unless you got enough for everybody.
Come on in, Wax.
Okay. A little bit time. Okay, now we gotta make this happen.
No, you just say you
Oh,
stand in
middle
here.
part.
Yep.
Okay, that'll make it easier for us to share that money.
Come on in.
So, what am I saying?
Yeah, that's cool. You
No,
just
that's fine.
Yeah.
sit
Try to get
down.
everybody in. Yeah.
All right, me and you might have to switch.
Thank you. Okay, we're about to start the program. Uh, Testing 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. How are you, Mark? How you doing? in health by working to educate, advocate for, and empower the community. The Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition is the best 501c3 in the world. I say that because I know. But welcome again to a talk with my brothers. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be discussing mental health and different parts of mental health for men, our men in our community. Right now, real quick, we're gonna go around and introduce ourselves. Actually, Mark, since you getting beamed in from Houston, why don't you go first? And give us a little background.
All right, perfect. So my name is Mark Akins Senior now. So I got a junior. He's about 15 months old.
I see what you
So, from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. Graduated from Charles F. Brush High School out there in South Euclid.
Oh, wow.
And then I actually went to Remington College and got my HVAC diploma, 608 certification, and ultimately an associate's degree in applied science and HVAC. So yeah, that's the real thing. And from there, I mean, just keeping it real high level about the background. And from there, I stayed in that industry for about 8 years. I recently just got out of it a couple months ago, only because HVAC led me to sales. And so with that leading me into sales, I ultimately ended up taking a sales job out here in Houston, right? So God brought me out to the land where everything is bigger, for bigger opportunities, bigger blessings, and for me to be able to make a bigger impact on my community and on the world. I'm a member of 100 Black Men of Metropolitan Houston. I was originally a member of 100 Black Men of Greater Cleveland. I just received the Outstanding Graduate Award credited by the ACCSC. So they accredit over 650 career schools and colleges across the nation. And I'm the first one from Remington College to ever win that award. So that was an extreme honor. And I was presented to, the award out in Washington, D.C. So that was really cool. Never been out there before. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. Author of 2 books, Challenge Your Perception of Cold Calling, Don't Let Anxiety Hold Your Success Ransom. And then also my most recent book that I released January 11th of this year, and that's 111 quotes to challenge your perception, preventative maintenance for your mind. And so all original quotes, and it comes with perceptions and tips. My whole thing is challenge your perception. I think the secret to perception is not what you see, is what you get. It's how you see is why you get. So I'm all about challenging everybody's perception, helping them help themselves to think. True learning is when discovery comes in, right? So there's no need in me telling you things that you need to remember. You have to discover for yourself. My LLC is Gratifying Expressions. I believe a gratifying expression is when you express yourself in a way that others are grateful that you did. So with the technology at your fingertips these days, everybody is so enthused with expressing themselves, and they're doing it irresponsibly 99% of the time. I mean, you have 1,000 eyes on you a day, and you want to be copying a dance. This is amazing. We, as a community, as a Black community, especially the men, we've wanted a voice and needed one for so long, and we don't have anything to say now that we've got it. I know that people do rap music, and I talk to rappers. I got some friends who are doing it, pretty big. And so I tell them, I said, if you turn off the music, and now I said, how many records do you think you want to sell? Oh, I want to sell 1 million records. If I can put 1 million people in front of you, and how long is your biggest song? Oh, it's 3 minutes. I put 1 million people in front of you for 3 minutes, and I cut the beat off. What you're saying, is that what you're going to talk to them? You've got the attention of 1 million people for 3 minutes, and you want to talk about how you're lying like you sell drugs.
Okay. Hold on. And just can we cut it right there, because we have other people who need to introduce themselves. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a native Clevelander, because I'm not gonna say anything about nobody else's city. But again, my name is Jerald Solomon, and I am with the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. I'm retired social worker, counselor, 20 years with the federal government. And I mean, my mission is I was put here to help somebody have a better life, because I was blessed with a super better life. Growing up on Huff, best place in the world you can grow up at. But yes, and we want people to express themselves. We're gonna keep the topic to mental health issues. Obviously you sound like you're very solution driven, Mark. So we're gonna really need some of your input towards the end. But right now I'm gonna pass it to my right.
How you guys doing? I'm SaMario Ford. I am the Community Engagement Director with the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. Our topic today is mental health, so we're going to really dive into the discussion, figure out the things and ways that we can solve this issue, and then what we do from there. What solutions do we do? What are the resources? Who do we talk to when we need help? And finding out those things. I'm going to pass it to my right.
Hi, Juan Goodwin. For work, I'm the managing partner of LJG Group Consulting, but I'm here just as a concerned citizen and how I can help connect the dots with people that are doing the same work.
Peace and love, everybody. I go by Cleveland author Jamil Davis. I'm a 5-time internationally recognized author, speaker, writer, poet, and book publisher. I currently serve my community in the Sheriff's Department here in Ohio, and I'm here to be a vessel to you all. So glad to be here. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? There's a lot of faces on there. Go.
I'm Robert, quick white member on the board, the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. I've been at the Manos Degree now for quite a long time. Most of my time was spent in Virginia, but 4 years ago, I returned to the Cleveland area where I grew up. As far as I'm concerned, to live is to struggle with mental health. And thank God, we have done that, most of us, and struggled our way through it, and we're still here to talk about it. So that's why I consider a forum like this to be so important for all of us. And there are so many people out there in the world, in the streets, wherever, that we need to be able to draw into this discussion.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And thank each and every one of you guys for being here.
We have one more person in the line.
Oh.
Lonnie, would you introduce yourself, please?
Excuse me. Go for it. I can't see that far.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Lonnie Sloan. I'm a native Clevelander. Went to John F. Kennedy, graduated from John F. Kennedy, also went to John Adams, both schools for a year and a half. I'm a licensed CPA. I work with the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. My mission in life, having worked in Fortune 500 for the majority of my working career, and seeing the disparities that occurred in those institutions and corporations. My mission in life is to serve and help underrepresented and marginalized organizations and individuals achieve financial success. I'm a CPA, as I mentioned. I passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam in one sitting, which is a rare occurrence. 1 out of 12 candidates are able to do something like that. I believe that part of the mental health that we're speaking about can be captured in a number of things. Yavanka Hall has mentioned bringing in this author, and she talks about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And whether we want to believe it or accept it or not, we're all suffering. And part of that suffering can only be alleviated through education and therapy. Now, it can be self-therapy, but you got to make sure you're doing it right and you're hitting the raw nerves that have created both epigenetic and environmental issues that we are confronted with. So, a very appropriate topic, and I'm glad to be aboard. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
And I guess my name is Waisi Thompson. I am a retired clinical laboratory scientist. I am also a rites of passage elder in the Akron African Village. that deals with, the educating the community, rites of passage of men from one stage to the next, educating ourselves as to our history and some of the misinformation that we've been taught. And I'm glad to see the brother put up the post-traumatic slave syndrome. Read the book. It's an excellent book because it helps you understand where some of these negative things that we do, the origin of them and where they came from. So I would, I would suggest, that everyone, if you've not read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, please read it. And it should give you some insight into some of the things that you may have been doing and didn't realize where it came from.
Yep.
Ashe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, thank everybody for introducing themselves. I'm glad you're all here. Again, we're live on Zoom, as you can see, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. And if you go to the No Static Radio page and like the page, you can just scroll down and you will see all these beautiful men. All of them. But, and again, you spoke to the history of trauma from slavery, and I'll be honest with you, my brother, he big on it. Been talking about it for 20 years, and I always told him, look, bro, that ain't happening because I wasn't back there then. I got my own traumas. I'm trying to just survive out here, but over time, and just understanding how certain things made me feel, then I decided to do my own research, and I'm 100% on board. I'm a believer now. Slavery played a big part in all of our lives, but we had to live today. We got to live today. We got to live for these young men, because we're going to talk about PTSD in our teens in our black communities. A lot of people don't believe they suffer from it. I do. I've seen it. We can compare it versus a veteran having PTSD versus a 14-year-old, like Mr. Goodwin said earlier, that he got to walk to the store every day and he's suffering from it. And actually, what I want to do now is I want to just go around the room and to everybody and just explain what your definition of mental illness is. And I'll start with going to my right again, and we'll just come around and hit the Zoom, and we'll keep it moving.
I would say something that hinders your everyday movement, something that slows you down a little bit, something that's kind of like there. It's kind of that person on your shoulder, like, I don't feel like doing this today, or I'm not in the mood for this. But it comes in so many different packages, so it's really hard to tell. But that's my vision of it.
Yeah, I'm not an expert. The way I would always say, if I can explain it to my 5-year-old daughter, then the average person should get it. It's something that just kind of holds you in bondage almost. Like, you can't stop thinking about it. It wakes you up out your sleep, but you're afraid to look down that barrel and address it. Not because of what it could do, but you're afraid to get the necessary tools just because out of fear of you don't know. And we give it a negative connotation, but I feel like it's like anything, you have to work at it and get help with. So I'm the first one to say I don't know how to clinically diagnose it, but I know it's something up there that be messing with you.
Yeah, I'm with my brother right here. I don't have a sound definition of it, but if I would take a stab at what I think it means to have a mental illness, I would say a mind disease, something that prevents you from coping, existing, living in the moment, doing your normal activities that you would normally do in society, whether it's loving on someone, going to work. So it's a disease that prevents you from, doing what you would normally would do on a daily basis if you wasn't ill. So that would be my response.
Thank you. Mark, your definition of mental illness?
Okay, I'll keep this shorter than my introduction.
No, just go ahead and talk. We got plenty of time. No, I'm just kidding.
So what I'm going to say mental illness is, and I'll keep it simple too, because I do believe that you should be able to break it down to a 5 or 6 year old level. That's what they say a real genius can do. You got to find the person in the audience that you think may have the least bit of education and make sure they can ingest it the same way as someone who's a scholar would. And so I would say that mental illness is no different than a physical illness. So your mind is not well. And how you realize that your mind is not well is because it's not functioning the way that you feel like that it would be functioning if you didn't have anything going on. You see, before you can even define what it is, people will know if they feel something wrong or feel something off. Like how the gentleman said about you're not able to go to work or love your loved ones, or you might not look at yourself the right way in the mirror, and because you don't necessarily know the right way, you just know that you don't like what you see when you look at yourself. So I think that when you can naturally feel like things are off balance, you're already suffering from it. So in order if you were sick and your body was sick, right, it starts to shut down on you. You need more rest in order for your body to start healing up. Maybe you'll take some medicine and things like that so that the symptoms subside for that moment so your body can actually heal. I think mental illness is the same way. Maybe when you're going through it, you need to identify with the fact that you're not able to control your thoughts the way that you would like them to be controlled, so that your actions are within your control. So then that's why you would, take the help from the therapist or the psychiatrist, or why you take the medicine, but you just have to realize it's only to help the symptoms subside until you can truly heal it. Because it has to heal. You can't just Band-Aid that through your life.
Okay, thank you. Where'd he go?
Oh, snaps.
Okay, he'll be back. But we can carry on. Would the next person give us their definition of mental illness? We'll bring Mark back up.
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. Just like to add a word that I had continuously read about. That is a big word, dissonance, which just means there's a lack of harmony between our thoughts and actions and reality. Something is not flowing smoothly. Like what's going on inside us, and what is real and what is something we are confronted with from day to day. There's some kind of tension between what we're dealing with and what is outside of us. Those are the times I think speakers have already mentioned we need help in trying to bring back that harmony, that balance that we need, to flow and to be a part of that for a healthier lifestyle.
Okay, thank you. Next.
I'll jump in. I'm basically going to rely on what the Supreme Court said about pornography. They couldn't define it, but if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, then it's a duck, and they know it when they see it. Mental illness is obviously the combination of those two words, mental and illness. We know what an illness is, when something is not right in the normal condition. The mental piece is the cognitive and the thinking and the processes. When you put those two together, you're talking about an individual who is not able to think and process clearly. However, there are standards and norms that are defining that. And And so part of our question must be, who is standardizing those norms? Are those norms based on an overall societal point of view, or just a subsection of society to say this is normal and then apply it to everything and everyone else? Perfect example is the BMI index, where we know from both anecdotal and empirical evidence that African Americans are larger and heavier than the average white person. That's on average. Now, there are going to be isolated incidences where you're going to find where that is not the norm. So we have to look at who's defining norm and who's defining mental. Mental we can agree with, but who's defining an illness? I guess I would take a little bit of exception to my brother Mark, I think it was, that said they know. Well, I would venture to say, I think, and I don't have statistics to back this up, I would venture to say that the majority of people that suffer from a mental illness are not aware that they suffer from a mental illness. So that's the best I can do with it.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
a good take, Lonnie. Thank you.
I wasn't saying that they know a mental illness.
If I can
Oh,
succinctly, mental illness can be of two forms. One can be a physical medical problem. The other form of mental illness can be miseducation, those who standards, that's misinformation. Okay, and so for as long as we have been in this country, there have been those who want to misinform us about our true nature, our true history, our true self-worth, and spout this misinformation to make themselves appear superior and make them feel better about themselves. So when we talk about mental illness, yes, there's the physical, and there's the and those who suffer from a physical mental illness a lot of times don't know that they're mentally ill. But by the same token, those of us that have been miseducated, misinformed, we don't realize that we're mentally ill either because we believe the lie. Ashe.
So back to like what you said, Lonnie, I didn't say that people would know they had a mental illness. I was piggybacking off of my brother who said, like, when you can't love your family right, or you're not going to work and stuff. Yes, the normal and natural thing is subjective, right? And it's all in the eyes of the beholder. Your mind is the one that sets what's normal. You set what's beautiful. You set the standard for everything, for wealth, misery, love, whatever. But what I'm saying is this is how depression sets in, because in everybody's mind, they have a picture of what is normal. So if you wake up one day after a traumatic event, whether you admit that it's traumatic or not, and now you can't look yourself in the mirror, or when somebody hugs you, you don't feel a hug, or when you go to eat, you don't feel hungry, you know that you are not right. It doesn't have to mean they know it's a mental illness, but you 100% know that you are not right. You don't have to talk about it with anybody or anything like that. And mainly because you don't know what's going on, that's where depression is born. Because you don't know what's happening to you. You just slip into it and it becomes so familiar, you forget that you're the one that put yourself there. So I wasn't actually saying that people know they have a mental illness. I was saying that people identify with when something's wrong with themselves. They know it, but because of stigma and everything else, they're not going to talk about it sometimes, or do their best to figure out if it is a mental illness, but they don't want to be labeled with it,
Thanks for that clarification,
Thank
Mark.
you. Did everybody get their
Everybody got turn yet?
Okay. Actually, I'm gonna turn to this young man right here. How are you? What's your name? Hey, this could stand right there. You can get you on that camera
No,
right
no, no, you
there.
stay right there.
Actually, what's your name?
My name's Cameron Kennedy, and I'm 18 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. Got a lot of nice hair too.
Thank you.
So, what do you think? What do you think mental illness is? Y'all know I'm a goofball.
No, sorry, I remember what I had.
I had hair a few months ago and
My bad.
No, go ahead, young man.
triggering.
I don't know. There's a lot of different factors that plays into it. For me, it's just like, and I say for me because I can only speak for what I've been experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like your body's just saying you don't want to be this character no more, and you don't want to do what you know you want to do. You don't want to get up out of bed. You don't want to get up, go to work. You're just not yourself, knowing that you have a passion for what you want to do. It's a lot of different factors. I can't really pinpoint it, what it is.
Well, and then I wouldn't expect you to. I'm just asking what you, and I think the answer that you gave was perfect. You know, and I appreciate that. I might ask you another question. These gentlemen might do something at you every now and then. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Actually, we're talking about the origins of these things, and somebody said, I can't remember who defines mental illness. They got this little book. It's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. In this book, DMS-5, I don't know if they even printed another version, because this little book is where somebody, I guess scientists, doctors, somebody got together and they defined all these different mental illnesses: anxiety, depression, let me see, bipolar, schizophrenia, you know, and that is like you said, who told them that they could do this? I mean, we could have did it sitting here. If it was presented to us, because I think everybody has done a wonderful job presenting what they feel mental illness is. We covered a lot of bases, and again, I thank you, because I mean, you know, I'll say this. I'll share this about myself. I was 43 years old. Now, I had a regular, normal life. I was, you know, I went to school, went to college, went everywhere, military, and at 43 years old, I was diagnosed with severe depression. Never knew I had it. When the lady told me I was depressed, I laughed at her. I said, I ain't got no reason to be depressed. But I might isolate myself every now and then because I don't like what I see, or I don't like what I'm seeing or feeling in the world. So I'll isolate myself. That was my excuse. And, you know, I would say that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it actually was, because it made me look, think, and discover more about myself, because I did a lot of things to shade off, cover up, not look at what was going on with me, what I was feeling, you know, how I thought at times, and, you know, I decided I wanted to drink, I wanted to do drugs, I wanted to be like an adrenaline junkie, and the best thing ever happened to me was going in there talking to that lady that day. And I'll share that, because I have a problem with telling people about me. If I don't do it, he gonna do it.
I was finna jump in. And
Yeah,
say,
well, I'm saying,
I was waiting like double dutch.
But no, there are different forms of mental illness. We have clinical depression, we got anxiety disorder. I actually suffer from anxiety disorder as well, bipolar disorder, dementia, and actually, I never knew until recently that dementia was a mental illness. And I'm like pretty much a genius. Y'all gonna learn I'm a jokester. Oh, go, question, go.
So that stigma part, I wanted to like piggyback on. You're a quote unquote productive member of society, function at a high level. I always thought as a kid it was the crazy dude on the corner with no clothes on, talking and answering himself. Like them the ones that we call crazy. Like how do we get to the point of, man, I went to work, today's Friday, and I don't want to get out the bed till Monday, and you like really find names. So how did you call somebody to get help? Like I feel like it's a lot more of those folks that are walking around than the homie that's on 59th the Huff that's like we say he's just lost his mind. Like how do we talk to like the high functioning folks like that, quote unquote? I'm putting quotes, so don't think I'm an expert enough at that.
Well, I mean, for me, I used to. I was like I would tell people. I was telling Mr. Davis earlier. I was a professional isolationist, and I could think of every reason and be the type of person that would make people not want to be around me, and I would lock myself in, or I could be, say, at work, and I'm not communicating, I'm not interacting with anybody. I'm just, because actually the whole time I was basically living in my head and living in my heart, because what got me to kind of partly to see the light is how I felt, not, I mean, I actually think at some time I was losing my mind, and I didn't know where it was coming from. But like I say, the thing I did was walk to that lady's office when I was 43 years old, and we sat down and we talked.
And I think the biggest thing as a man is trying to figure out how to handle depression, because us as men having women and being around our families, we're always taught to be uplifting and happy, and you're supposed to handle the load, never cry about it, never complain. And I think what gets caught into the long term thing is, how much can I hold in? How much can I deal with before I explode? And then now it's looked at as, oh, he's tripping, he having an issue, or oh, I've been holding this in for years and years and years, and now you can push this one button and I explode, and now you're looking at me like, oh, I can't believe you acted like that. And it's like, no, we hold so much in and we deal with so much day by day that we don't even speak on, that you would never, that most people won't even be able to fathom. And I think once we start getting into those rooms and having those comfortable conversations and saying, look, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? How's your mental health? That's something that I was never taught as a kid. Deal with it. Suck it up, deal with it, move on. And just being an adult now and knowing I have people around me to say, hey, how's your mental health? How you doing? Just those little checks here and there, it make a huge difference. Because the day that I'm having that could have been super terrible, now I turn into, what? My day ain't that bad. I'm having a little bit better of a day than I had yesterday. And just looking at things in that viewpoint. And I've learned a lot of those things just from being an AA. Being somebody who's battled with alcohol addiction, just seeing things in a different light. Like Mark said, challenging your perception of life. And I think that's a huge thing that we don't utilize. We don't challenge our perceptions. We kind of get caught in boxes, and we just move in a box from day to day, shuffling around. And it takes us until we bump our head or bump into that wall so many times so we open the lid of that box and say, wow, there's so much more out here. And I think that's what we need to start helping these kids do, is realize there's so much more to this world when you get the help that you properly need. So
I like that, man. Appreciate it. I like to interject real quick. Speaking on the PTSD, like post-traumatic slave disorder. So since slavery, we have been taught to raise. A lot of our women have been taught to raise their sons in reverse roles, their kids, I should say, where women love their sons and raise their daughters. So that's based off how we were created to be. So when we think about the breaking process, we know about slavery and how we got here. But no one knows about what the breaking process looked like. How do you make a slave? So when we get to that point, you'll understand the conditions of the post-traumatic slavery disorder and how we can reverse those conditions moving forward. So Willie Lynch syndrome, this is what I call it. So he took your most meanest, most restless slave, right? Your smartest one, he put him out in front of everybody. So what he would do is he would tar feather him, he would whip him, he would tie him up to horses going into different directions. That's why I would never wear Levi jeans. Or if you look at the symbol, it emulates that. So what he did was he would beat that man in front of all the other slaves. And then we got done beating that man, extracting his limbs. He would then beat all the other remaining boys that was there watching. Now the effect and the condition wasn't on the men, it was on the women who were responsible for raising these guys. So what it did was it made women keep their boys close and push their girls out front. And so what that did was we created a situation where women allowed their girls to go out front and unprotected, and the boys stay home scared. So transferring to today, we have a lot of women who have single family households, right? And so when women have single family households, you have women juggling between being mom and dad, masculine energy versus feminine energy. So a woman is supposed to have that structure where she can be in her feminine energy, where she can create that blanket of support for her son to cry, to be nurtured, to be nursed. But instead, we are taught to keep our emotions inside. Shut the fuck up. Go to your room. Be quiet. Boys ain't supposed to cry. Now when he get of age and he want to express himself, he can't. Like you were saying, now we are tripping. And so now we can't love our women the way we wanted to love them because our moms have damaged us, right? And so I just want to get that piece out there for the PTSD with the post-traumatic slave disorder or whatever, and what we can do to do that. So I know my fourth book is titled Completely Naked. And Completely Naked is a look at people of color in an unnatural broken state, in which our brokenness affects our relationship with each other and our ability to live dignified and wealthy lives. And in that book, I talk about that breaking process from a young boy, being molested, being abused, being taught to not cry, to get picked on, and not having a mom there to love, not having a female in general there to say, hey, baby's okay, let me help you nurture you. Instead, it was beatings on top of that trauma, or slapped in the face because you're crying, you know what I'm saying? Or being the punching back to the uncontrolled emotions of the women in the household, you know? So the reason why I wrote Completely Naked, I wrote it for the brothers, right? I wrote it for the brothers so the brothers can have an opportunity to unveil themselves from the earliest state, because I learned with the pen and the paper that that's our first step of healing, right? And when you first get those yucky feelings and those thoughts and those emotions out on paper, then you share those feelings with other people, then those other people can be able to say, hey, I can relate to that as well. Now what we can do to heal. So now that I got it out of my system, now this is what I can do to go ahead and heal myself. I can go ahead and change how I eat. I could change the music that I listen to. I could change the television shows and programming. So a lot of these environmental factors affects our mental health because we aren't allowed to be completely naked. So I encourage my brothers to be completely naked, and when we do become completely naked, I challenge our ladies and our women to be our confidant, right? So when we must have the courage to share our most vulnerable selves to you. Your mom can't know, your girlfriends can't know, social media can't know, because now you just created a whole world fire, that's wildfire that's about to happen. And so we are always looking for a confidant within our women, because it's not like that we are afraid to share it to you. We want to share it with you, but we don't trust you with protecting it because our mothers damaged us, you know, for the most part. So I want to just do that.
And so, I just want to add to a couple of things that you both said. So, and the completely naked thing, that's a real amazing concept. But if we're going to be completely naked, then we also should stop blaming social constructs for the reason why we won't cry or share emotions or anything like that. And so I was molested for many years as a very young child by someone in the home with me. I've had butt whoopings completely naked. My mother was always my biggest enemy. I've never known my father's name. I've never had a man in my life at all. I've never had any therapist visits, any psychologist visits, and I've never taken any medicine in my life for my mental state. And I shot myself when I was 22 years old, and I had been trying to kill myself since I was 5 because it was my older brother who was molesting me, and my mother always left me alone with him. And I tied plastic bags on my head, and he treated me so bad I had to take a knife to my throat just to be able to watch cartoons because he locked me in rooms and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I was always told that I was a bitch because I was the lightest one in my family, and that I would have a hard time in life, and I always be picked on and stuff like that. And no woman's gonna want me. All this stuff, and it's like I can't, just because people say that type of stuff, we can't let it ever bother us. They say a man don't cry. If you are a man and you cry, well, now someone knows that men do cry because you're the man that cried.
Yes.
I think that with slavery, that we should. It's great to know the history. It's great to know the history. But there was a young man who was 18 years old who was just speaking in that room, and if he had never heard of what you just said, he may miss grand opportunities in life now because it's going to be with a white man. Because we're teaching them things, and this is no slight to anybody about the history of slavery, but we're teaching them things that are absolutely irrelevant to today. And that's a fact. To know any of that now, let me ask you, all of you this, and just think about it in your head. I'm all about challenging perception. That's not what anyone is doing right now. Now, if you take slavery and you think about it like this alone, this thought right now would end racism. Now, what if slavery had nothing to do with color? Because black people were not the only slaves. We're just the ones that allow ourselves to be bound by the past history of slavery. And that's why the post-traumatic slave disorder book, that sounds amazing. However, what if it was about business? So if you ever thought about it, the average white person did not have slaves. Only people that lived in those big houses and had big fields with amazing crops in them. Cotton. Could you imagine if you had a field of cotton in your yard? My grandmother used to pick cotton. My grandmother used to pick cotton on her father's farm. Her and her sister, they wasn't slaves, but he had a grand amount of land and he had cotton. And she told them how they wrapped tape around their fingers and picked the cotton. So wait a minute. You got people who have money. And if this is all about business, and black people had slaves too, but if you have people that were all about business, and they have these natural resources in their yard, and they want to pick all this cotton, even if they went out there with their fingers taped up, or whatever the case there may be, if it was going to take them way longer than it needed to take in order for them to be able to pick the cotton, what better people would they pick than the biggest and the strongest people, and people who can't speak English, to go ahead and use them the same way that people are using Mexicans to do their yards and their day labor right now, first of all, for cheap prices, which is damn near slavery, the way we treat them with their hard work.
Excuse me, we're gonna have to kind of twist back to the subject because
It's
what I'm saying, and then what happens is, because they know that they're outnumbered by the slaves, they know that they're bigger, they know that they're stronger, that they have to put the fear in their heart by taking down the biggest person. And wait a minute, this is how it started. But how it can.
Mark, can I jump in?
Give Lonnie, let me give Lonnie 1 second, please.
Just jump in because that the historical thing I said earlier, I didn't believe it myself, but it's true.
Complete my thought like everyone else did. So what I'm saying is, if we were the first generation of slave masters, and what we did was gather these people, and then we had to put fear in their hearts that they would do the work we need them to do, our children is watching us that don't know about business, and our children is watching us beat and abuse people of color and tell them nasty things. And now the children have created racism because they don't understand why it was going on. They just know that they're supposed to perpetuate the way that these people are being treated. And so it all started by accident. What if that's how it happened? Everybody knows by now, if you're over the age of 30, you know by now that you can't trust history books. Everybody knows that. So now, and when you figure out you can't trust the ones in school, you figure you could just trust the ones you found on the shelf. People, right now, if I wrote a book that said that a purple god lived next door to me and somebody found it buried in the ground, they think that's what was going on 100 years ago. So I'm just saying, I ain't saying what's right or what's wrong. I never do. I just make people think. And what I'm trying to say is that maybe if we took a different thought of it, that's how we would eliminate racism. Not continuing to try to make sure
Excuse
that our
me.
children
Excuse
story
me.
to tell, they're-
No.
Okay.
You're just.
I get to, all right, I
Well,
get to my whole
okay.
point.
If you keep finishing your thoughts, you writing books. I'm confused. Okay. Nothing
Can I jump
personal.
in for a second?
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
was
let
just
Lonnie
actually.
give you-
Go ahead. Then I want to hear from you, Mr. White.
So I just want to get back to the issue of trauma.
Thank you.
This was traumatic.
It seems that we digress a little. I don't know. I'm not casting any aspersions. But another book that I read, I don't know how many of you have read this Black Skin, White Mask?
Yeah.
Black Skin, White Mask by France Fanon.
Yeah.
And
Great writer,
on
great
the
man.
issue of trauma, one of the things he says is earliveness at the origin of neurosis. That we must find out what is the beginning origin of that earliveness, of that trauma. And so he mentions the fact that that trauma will come disguised as something else in order to avoid detection and thereby revelation. So it'll disguise itself as it seeks, and you have to catch yourself. Why did I react like that? Why did I think that? So you have to find out what is the earliveness of that trauma. And so it's a layered process. Mark, you mentioned you have been to therapy or not, or I know someone mentioned they had been.
Never been to therapy. Never been to therapy then or anything like that. And
Someone had mentioned that they had been to therapy, and as they know, okay. And I would imagine if you were to speak on your experience, it's a layered process.
Yes.
It's a process that you have to go through to unlayer what is the origin of that trauma.
The trauma.
Whether it's a host of things. Why are you doing that? And so part of that is this. Just one, I'm gonna just make one thing, 1 second. Mark, you're right, it's not racism. I'll agree with you there. But what it is caste.
It's a caste system.
Exactly.
It's not racism, it's caste. Caste has been around for as long as man is, as looking to place certain people that are deemed inferior in an inferior position while elevating themselves to a superior position. That's about as far as I'm gonna go with regard to your comments, though. But
thank you, Lonnie.
I just
Okay.
wanted to put that in.
And when we do make comments, and everybody is here freely to say what they actually feel, think. But we had to keep it kind of short because we started a little late. So actually, Mr. White, I want and if there first, let's see if there are any other new people on the Zoom. Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly, dude.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm John Salmon. I'm sorry running a little late. I'm coming from another workshop there and had to get in on that. But yeah, I am John. I live in Minneapolis area also here. I'm really from Cleveland, and I am retired here from the Department of Human Services as a social worker, which I did for 33 years here, and and you moved to Minnesota from California here. Prior to that, I was working over there at Cuyahoga Hills Boys School for 2 years for Ohio Department of Youth Services as a social worker in the youth prison over there. And then prior to that, I was a police officer in Washington, D.C. here. And I graduated from University of New Hampshire here in the undergraduate behavioral sciences, and then graduated from University of Cal Davis out in California here with a counseling psychology degree. So, and basically put that into practice in social work and have been doing that for years. But working in a lot of different entities, you know, in the mental health as well as with children and families here.
Okay.
If I can just add to just the conversation there, and I'll leave it to 2 minutes here, but we always have to think in terms of, and I tell people a lot here, we want to strengthen ourselves in different ways and everything here. And yeah, you know, slavery and everything was about money and things like that. But we can never dismiss the effects that it had on us, and especially genetically.
Absolutely.
We're only talking about 159 years since we walked off the plantations. And a lot of us grew up, you know, around there where we can remember those old grandparents and everybody living in the house with us around and everything. And, you know, people being in their 90s and everything like that. And it always gives you an indication that we're not that far removed from that here. And a lot of that stuff, like somebody mentioned Willie Lynch effect and things like that, it is so very true. And a lot of those patterns have been passed on here to where we're still dealing with those things, you know, that post-traumatic slave syndrome, and we can't just put a different face on it until we deal with these things and confront this type of things that we've learned as patterns of behavior, men not crying and men not ever having anybody to talk to about how you feel in that day that you're just supposed to go on. That's why a lot of us had those fathers and grandfathers that come home from work, you know, and they sit off to the side with the paper or the television, and they got that look on their face like, you know, stay the hell away from me right now here. And you learn through our patterns of behavior to stay the hell away from them. But that's a lot of them brooding in that mental health of all of the bullshit crap that they went through during the day and dealing with the white man and the system and things like that. And, you know, a lot of it has killed them early and brought on every kind of disease there is by the time that they're 55 years old here and stuff. And we can't dismiss that and try to put a mask over our pain any longer. And we have to teach our younger people how to deal with it, that we're okay with feeling sad, you know, and we're trying to do what we can to get around it and teach them the patterns of behavior on them dealing with it and not trying to isolate themselves.
Okay, you went past 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
You acting like that other cat, man. I told y'all, I'm gonna give y'all the grind. And it ain't no person. I love everybody. I love everybody. Y'all just know me.
I just gave you 2 minutes, brother.
Thank you, sir, for I appreciate you for clarifying that. Thank you.
What you have, a stopwatch? No, but
right on the money.
again, for the people that just zoomed in, we got some ground rules here, and the ground rules are we allow everyone to speak. No comments are off limits. Make sure that they know we are not giving medical information. This is just a chance for black men to speak from their hearts and their minds. Now, is there any other new people that zoomed in? Anybody?
Man, I'm here too, man. This is Ricardo South.
You know that guy that just talked?
Yeah, I know, that's my brother.
Oh, that's my brother too. We must be all brothers then. Hey, Brick.
I'm late, man. I had to chime in during the game. Haven't got called to the emergency game. I had to rep, but I like the conversation. I put a few comments in the chat, so I'm gonna have to dip out here. My game is gonna be tipping off here a little bit, but as well, man. I've been working in the helping profession for well over 40 years. Right now, I'm in corrections in Minnesota. I worked many years in child protection, mental health, and the things we talk about, the things I'm hearing everybody talk about, are things I'm quite familiar with right now. My primary focus, the people I supervise, the probation officers I supervise, work with young men and women between the ages of 18 and 24 that are sentenced to probation, right? And many of them we see have early onset of mental illness. That's coming on board. And I think, when you talk about the things that exist in terms of responses to that, those behaviors that led them to committed offenses that they were put on probation for. We deal with that from a well-being standpoint, meaning that we exist in that dichotomy between reason and authority. You can always somebody do something, you can always punish them, right? And this especially black men and boys, we all know how to be punished. We don't all know how to be loved. So we want to make sure that we're showing them our healing and restorative practices that address those things from a well-being standpoint to mitigate the risky behaviors that they've been involved in.
Okay, we got a comment. Somebody wants to make a comment. Queasy has a comment.
Mr. Thompson.
In listening to this conversation, and as we're talking man to man, I would just like to offer. Has anybody? How many of you have heard of Marcus Garvey?
Everybody.
Everybody does.
Okay, so Marcus Garvey said, people without knowledge of their past and their history is like a tree without roots.
That's right.
Now, I say that only to say that if history, what happened in the past, shaped and molded what is happening presently.
Absolutely.
What we do presently will shape the future.
Yes.
So, when we all like to talk about, well, I've done research, yada, yada, yada. But if you have not gone back far enough and done enough research to understand how the past has affected your present, then you're missing the boat. Okay? Because the actions that you do now will shape the future.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want people to say, well, I ain't got time to think about, history in the past because it ain't relevant to my life today. Well, it's relevant in your life today because it shaped where you are now.
And then Mark, go ahead, get your comment in.
Yeah, and I just need you guys to remember that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that all is relevant to a certain extent. So when we have some type of discussion like this, I'll keep it as quick as possible. When we have some type of discussion like this, it's always a bunch of great stuff that gets brought up. And I can't tell you how many trainings and things that I've been to when there's no real solutions or call to actions. And so I say to you all, once you deal with a damaged teenager, right? And I've done a lot of work in the inner city. And shout out to JFK. My man said he went to JFK. I was up there speaking to those kids when Young Dro came to your school. And I was with Young Dro. So what I want to say is, by teaching these kids things that are irrelevant to their healing, what are you accomplishing? Because when you're talking to every teenager in every walk of life has frustrations on a day-to-day basis, they think that no one understands.
Well, you're dealing with No, go ahead.
Anybody who lived it, and now you're going to tell them about that. And like I said before, there's an 18-year-old gentleman who stood up and talked, and he's hearing about legs and arms getting ripped apart. And then how's he going to look when he goes into a situation where he has to choose pride over progression, and the only thing that's going through his head is what he's heard from someone he thinks.
What if he feels that everything that he's heard, he will go do his research on his own?
So I'm gonna intervene real quick. No, wait, Mark, wait, I got it. Mark, we've given you ample space to talk about what you want to talk about. Please respect the floor. This is not a debate. This is for us to get these comments off and actually have a discussion on mental health. No. I'm not saying you're wrong. But what I'm saying is what I'm saying is we're diverging off into something that's not a part of the conversation that we're having at hand. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, somebody has a question. Is this off of Facebook feed
Yes,
or
this is off
on
Facebook
YouTube?
feed. Facebook.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So the question that we have is from Annette Archie, and she's asking, what would you say is the #1 cause of depression in men? Is there a role of clergy when working with men? A woman asking. So what would you guys say?
Can I speak?
Oh, go ahead.
Of
Yeah,
course.
go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm working on a couple things now, and I'm doing some things, and I'm just gonna bring this one because I just think it's a real overlooked fact in our community here, and then we can talk about other things that affects it. But I'm doing some work with USA Football and University of Minnesota right now, and what we're looking at is an overlooked thing that we got a lot of our kids, our young men that through from youth football on through high school, and some that go to college, and and not to the pros or whatever and everything. But the fact that a lot of our kids play ball and suffer concussions over time here, and several times. But a lot of it's been passed off as headaches, and or he don't feel good, and I don't know why he's getting so angry and that stuff all the time and everything. And so a lot of these young men we let loose after high school and everything out in the community and go to work, whatever. They don't go any further with the game and everything. But a lot of those concussions and things have never been dealt with, and being hit in the head so many times over and over has a long-term effect on you in that manner. So now we're talking about a young man that maybe is 23, got a girlfriend, a wife, everything, and nobody understands why he's always angry around the house, beating up on his woman, beating up on the kids. He don't even know. All he knows is he don't feel good half the time. His head hurts. He medicates it, with alcohol and drugs and everything, because he's not understanding it. And we have a lot of that walking around in our community with our young men that they become depressed, and they don't understand where a lot of that comes from. And we're finding that a lot of that comes from the head traumas that have gone on and on through them playing youth sports, particularly football through the years.
Okay,
so let's try to channel these comments to a minute. We had 30 minutes left. We have a lot of information that we still want to get through. So let's try to get through it a little bit quicker, please.
But we're talking about some of the causes that.
Well, and what it is, and the conversation was going on here earlier before we even came on about PTSD in young folks. And do they suffer from it? Yes, we know they do. Their PTSDs are different than a veteran, but actually they're really the same because it's a traumatic event that caused them to, have this disorder. Now, I'm gonna ask our young guests, do you actually know what PTSD is? Have you ever heard of it before?
I've definitely heard of it, but I don't know what exactly mine is, because I know, I'm not gonna say everybody, but most people has it, don't realize that they got it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What area you grew up in?
Maple Heights.
Maple Heights.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go outside and walk down the street, do you tense up? Do you frown, or you walk around just in your normal smile, or however you do?
Nah, the neighborhood I grew in, there was always kids running up and down the street. We played basketball in the street.
So you were in a less tense environment,
yeah.
right?
You have a driver's license?
No.
You ever drove a vehicle?
Yes.
Have a police officer ever got behind you?
Nah, it wasn't on the road, but.
How did you feel when a police officer got behind you?
I don't know. I've always had good experiences.
Yeah.
With them.
But before you interacted with them, how did you feel?
How'd I feel?
Like was your heart pound?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
PTSD.
That's PTSD.
Okay.
You know why you feel that way? It's because we look on media every day and we see senseless black men being killed, numbers of them. So your interaction, your first mindset is, what happened to the last black guy that I saw had an interaction with the cops?
Yeah.
And so in your heart, you never had an interaction with the cops before, but now you have an interaction.
Sure.
So that PTSD from another person that you've never met before is coming into your life and affecting you.
And you got nothing wrong.
And we got a question over here.
Since we're talking about like genetics and different generations, and I don't know the answer. Could PTSD like be passed on through DNA, like and mental illness be passed on? Like, can I pass that on?
So
I
it's
don't know.
crazy you just asked that because we just had somebody comment and ask about that as well. So go ahead.
I want to say that it can be connected. So just like that experience that I,
PTSD cannot be transmitted genetically.
Okay,
no,
okay.
the trauma can. So
Trauma is learned.
So
Experience.
basically, what I was saying back to the Wooded Lynch syndrome, when they broke the black families
If
apart.
I can
So
interject 1 second
Go ahead.
on that.
Okay, go ahead, Lonnie.
There's been research that showed, and this will be quick, research that has shown epigenetically that DNA has been affected by trauma. I just wanted to put that out there.
yeah, exactly.
Well, if that's the case,
So-
then we wouldn't be going through this 400-year
Yeah.
shit.
That's why I
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's a great question that you asked too. So
But
with that breaking process that I mentioned earlier, when the focus was on the women and her kids. So the boy who saw these men get beat and get ripped apart, what they would do then, they would take the young boy who witnessed it, they would take the young lady who witnessed it. When they got up to the age of start dating, they would mate them together, right?
The cycle
So
continues.
yeah, so the cycle continues. Exactly.
But I guess we do a lot of talking. I want to hear what the little guy got to say.
Yeah.
'Cause he's the one got to take the torch. Like, what do you feel about all these old guys yelling at each other about who's right? Like, how does that help you move forward in your mental state? That's why I don't mean to keep picking on you, but I do.
Yeah.
I mean, he the
That's how
future.
it is.
Do it.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm listening to everybody and all everything that's being said, and I'm trying to piece everything how I can put it all into one common thing that we all trying to figure out. And as we speak, I'm still going through my mental stuff and with progressively trying to get better as it goes on, because I've just recently figured out that how to start healing, how to start progressing, even with it in the back of my mind.
So can we channel that for the solution base, since we got like
Well, yeah,
everybody's left, so
but
we
you know,
got
and I want to go back to teenagers, young people, and their traumas today. You know, like I said, and somebody else said, we have to live like today. I wasn't here 400 years ago. I know about it. I feel it. I understand it. But we talking about today.
Yeah.
I see young people out here today, his age, and you know, they come in the store, they smell like weed. They're probably addicted to weed. You know, I wish I would have been the first person to invent raps, because I'd be a billionaire right now. You know? I'm just saying. But no, and you know, 9 times out of 10, these kids, they left school. They don't have that proper education. They don't have the motivation to move forward and to learn what makes them feel how they feel, what makes them think how they think. You know, I say that the minority is those, because I believe the majority are young people that know, that's willing to know, that's willing to learn. I talk to young dudes all the time, and you know, sometimes they come with stuff. I just give you an example. Back in like 95, 96, and these young dudes, you know, and that was still like on the tail end of, you know, when you got them street corner hoppers with the dope and stuff. But 3 of them young men that I knew, they committed suicide before they were 19 years old. So in conversation with them and their friends, you know, they came up with the term ghetto stress. And ghetto stress is PTSD. Or ghetto stress is some of the things you were talking about. And it's something, because we have to grab a hold, John said up in Minneapolis, they do a lot of stuff in the communities with the kids. They get out, they make more attempts than other cities, put it that way. But we got to look at them, you know. Like I'm in the fourth quarter, maybe the overtime of my life, you know, so I'm gonna try to give as much as I can while I'm still here. You know.
And then also what I think for the younger generation really is what we're trying to get to is trying to target what they need for the future. And me being a younger guy, I'm 26. I've been there, done that, been through a lot of stuff. Man, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Do as much research as you possibly can. If you feel like you got something going wrong, don't just let it sit there. Don't sit there and be complacent with it. Go attack this issue. And that's something that I've done. I just started going therapy probably about, a month or two ago. And it helps so much, man. I'm breaking so many barriers down that I felt like, man, this stuff would have never got broken down. And just being able to sit and have those conversations, and it helps so much because I have another black man as my therapist. So having somebody with the same skin color as me who's probably had the same experiences or life experiences that I've had, and be able to break them down to me in a way that I feel like I can understand and be able to stomach a little bit more, it helps everything so much more, man. So if you are dealing with some stuff or going through some things, reach out for help. There's so many people out here to help you, even peers. I would say go to peers for support, because a lot of us don't realize that our peers are in our corner, but we never use our peers for what they can actually be used for. We use them for the wrong things. Oh, I want to go kick it with them. I want to go hang out. I want to go do this. But do we actually utilize our village for what a village is supposed to be used for help and support, and actually, being there for each other? Yeah. So that's really what I want to say to you.
Well, and let me say, I just want to ask, I want to talk about stigmas and stereotypes, and some have been mentioned, and some of the things that, people, especially young people, that suffer from a form of mental illness, whether it's depression, PTSD, anxiety, whatever have you. And, it's a lot of them, they don't ask for help, like you saying. Mm-hmm. They go out and bully people. Or they live in fear.
Or they abuse drugs and alcohol.
And that's it. They abuse drugs and alcohol. Instead of, and that's mostly young men.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that just because I
being a young man, like I said before, who has dealt with addiction multiple times with alcohol. I was a year and a half sober, went to my buddy's bachelor party, got into a car accident, started drinking again. Like, I can handle it for this weekend. And it turned into a whole year and a half of me eating bad, sitting on the couch being depressed. Whoa, me and myself all day, every day. I could have did this, I could have did that. And I dealt with this all the way up to this year. All last year was horrible. One of the worst years I've ever had. But, sitting there and realizing why it was so horrible is the reason why I'm here right now, being able to be happy, being able to make those movements towards happiness and being in a better place than I was last year. So I think just, like I'm saying, sitting there and realizing what you actually are going through is one of the biggest things you got to realize.
Okay.
You got a question?
But you did. See,
hold on, we got a question over here in the corner, then we'll get right back to you, okay?
There's no question. Y'all gotta remember, Einstein was crazy.
Crazy
on paper, right?
He was crazy.
Oh, okay, well, they say
Right.
We this close from genius to
Your mental thing can go either way.
Yeah. Look at Kanye.
Yeah.
Super genius.
Yeah, you can be on the right side of the
No. He basically
making a comment.
He just made a comment about Einstein and Einstein's like they say, you can step across one line to another, you a genius. I thought I was a genius most of my life. I mean, I thought I was reading 7 books a week. I ain't Cat Williams doing 75. But no, honestly, we were actually made to read, and then I got to the point where I enjoyed reading. Yeah. I will walk from where we lived on Huff all the way downtown to the Cleveland Public Library, check out 7 books, read them in a week, and bring them back. And in between time, doing everything else that I did.
Jerald, what made you think? What made you conclude that you weren't a genius? That you're not a genius?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna deal. And this is a thing that I learned in another place that I thought I'd never be. I learned it in Alcoholics Anonymous. But the 15th of last month, I celebrated 33 years of uninterrupted sobriety. Now, let me say this. It ain't nothing good. Hey, I can go out here and get drunk today. And it's the truth. I can give it all back in a second.
Day at a time.
But I learned that my ego was part of what was defeating me from the inside. You know, I was self-willed one riot for sure. And
so is claiming a genius ego-driven?
No. It's a difference in between. But through my alcoholism, you know, I was blind, man. I was so blind that when I went into treatment, I'm 5'10". I was 5'10", 122 pounds, and I thought I was the most sexiest, prettiest motherfucker out here. Now, you tell me I wasn't losing something or doing something different. So, you know, I would tell you one of my ways was instead of fighting and squabbling and getting physical, I would beat you up with my mouth, with my intellect. And when I beat you up that way, that means I won, you know, because if I could stagger you with words.
Okay, so I haven't heard anything that disqualifies.
I think you are saying you're a genius.
I am
There you go. There you
Ask
go.
my
Own
man
it.
right there.
Own it.
Mr. Solomon, wouldn't you say I was a genius?
But he can't read
We know you. Put some pictures.
And then your brother did have a comment. What were you saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just talking to my brother right there that was just saying he started therapy a couple of months ago, and I just told him, man, he's done a really good thing because, you know, a lot of people, man, when they start early in the therapy, they don't even want to talk about it because they like, oh man, you know what? I'm still trying to work this out in my mind. That if everybody else is okay with this here or whatever, but you accepted the fact that you okay with it.
Hey.
You okay with being better.
Okay, we got it.
I think that's a positive.
Well, I appreciate that, my brother.
And it is. We got a comment over here on the right.
It's just about being transparent about therapy since mental health. I went twice and didn't go back. Cause I was like, why am I wasting my money to a stranger? So I'm only being vulnerable because I'm sure I'm not the only person that feel that way. So I'm like,
I feel that way.
More tools in the toolbox for more folks to not do
Okay.
that. Cause I went, I'm like, I'm tired of this copay, and he's still asking me my name every time I go.
Okay.
I
And then okay, so if therapy's not
Was
your
he a
route,
black man?
He was.
Cause I really want to know where all the black male therapists at. Y'all seen them, and I ain't never seen them.
If therapy is your route, and not your route, and not the way you want to go, what other things are you willing to sacrifice to make that better, that change in your life?
Well, to be honest, I only went because I'm like, I don't know if anything wrong, but this the buzzword now, mental health.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just being honest. It's the buzzword.
It's a new
like,
thing now. Let me
it's
check up on
cool.
it.
Let me see am I crazy, right? So, I mean, I'm just talking honestly about it. Then I was like, okay, bye, bro. Like, give me my money back. So I haven't went back.
Yeah, give your money back.
And I'm not saying I'm against it.
Oh,
but
no.
It's just, I'm not the only person.
What I
that feel
tell
that way.
people that are not therapy driven and don't really feel like that's the place for them, find other zones. Whether if that's reading a book, whether it's that painting a picture, whether it's taking a walk on the beach, or figuring out somewhere where you can go and have that alone time and meditate. Whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer and healing. We're gonna get to prayer later on. That's a big part of.
We got a
mental health as
comment
well.
off of Facebook, YouTube.
No, in the back.
Oh, in the back. Yo, what's happening in the back? There's some people back there, y'all. Y'all probably ain't seen them.
They can see him.
They beautiful people. Somebody got a comment?
I'm just sexy. I don't know about you.
I don't know about that either, bro. But no, let the comment.
Say whatever you want.
I mean, what y'all saying is dope, like interesting. Hey, like, can they hear me or?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can.
No, we hear
They
you.
can see you.
For real?
Yeah.
Man, let's go. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. So what y'all saying is pretty cool. Talking about mental illness, mental health. And I love what's going on right now. Opening the floor, giving the floor or the individuals an opportunity to speak on their perspectives of it and how it affects them in their life. It's a dope tool what's going on right now. Those viewers that's tuning in, listening in, it's so much that they can absorb because of what's being spoken from different viewpoints in each and every one of you guys is epic. So in my opinion, I don't believe there is no right or wrong answer to what it is that's going on. I think that everybody's just stating their viewpoints, and that's honestly what life's about, ain't it? Like, when you're going through life, it's about the development, it's about growth, it's about evolving, and how do we do that? There's only 3 ways that we can learn, right? Through reading, visual, listening, what do they call that?
Auditorial,
Yep, and actually
physical,
right? And so you're getting all of that through all of you guys right now, and so those that's tuning in, viewers listening in, keep tuning in, man. This is beautiful. You know what I mean? Absorb everything that you can get out of what's going on this platform today. We have wonderful men speaking, and African American men speaking their knowledge, speaking their wisdom. You know what I mean? And giving it out there to the world, so that we can just keep moving in a positive direction, right? Each one teach one, learn together, grow together, evolve. That's what it's about, man. So I'm just riding the wave with y'all right now.
We appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for the comment, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody for speaking, everybody that's watching on YouTube, Facebook Live, where we are, Zoom. Does anyone on the Zoom feed have a question or a comment on something? Because I want to talk about medication versus a natural diet in a minute, and I think that's important.
Let me make about a 30-second comment on the brother was saying he went twice and didn't go back anymore. But see, we find that a lot as black men. We find that a lot in a lot of our guys that go, and then what happens is you expose yourself sometime by the second, session here or whatever, and it feels uncomfortable to you because you've never exposed yourself to anybody on those particular type of things. And so it's either fight or flight. You standing there and fight with those demons and say, I'm gonna deal with this here, or you leave and say, I ain't going back over there because, we always find an excuse. It costs too much of my time here or whatever. I didn't like her ass here or whatever, or him, or whatever like that. But
I did that with 3 people before I stuck with this one.
You come to an impasse. Either you're gonna stand there and fight that demon and try to get better, or you're gonna leave and say, man, that didn't feel good, man. That's stuff that I don't even want to get in touch with.
Okay, 30 seconds. Mr. White got a comment.
I feel
Go ahead.
challenged. You challenging me to go back there, right? So I need to go back and report back. I'm fair with that. That's fine. Yeah.
Well,
I can even give you my personal view.
Mr. White has a comment.
Thank you.
And go with it. Go with it, Mr. White.
I think part of the reason, I've been concerned about being quiet is because I've been listening a lot. I guess I've had a problem with that isolationism too. And so I listen to what other people say. To me, the real power comes from this, your own story. Those of us who have the guts to say, talk about our own feelings, talk about what's going on with us, or how we work ourselves through depression or anxiety. You can't imagine how many people can reach by being that transparent. So, that it may sound a little selfish, but hey, I've been already soaking in. Somebody said that the black body soaks trauma like a sponge. And it's been doing that for the last 400 years. Today I'm soaking in knowledge by listening to everybody. And the differences between the generations. There seems to be, definitely a difference between younger and older generation, how they see mental health, how they see trauma. what their experiences are like. Also, what their experiences are like. I read a little article this morning about young, especially young blacks, who said that they support Trump because they said when Trump was in office, they had money, and now they don't. Yeah, that's a definite difference in perception.
Well, Lonnie has a comment. Lonnie, go ahead. You know what? We do another show just on politics. Me and you, we can sit down, we can talk. Cause oh my God, Lonnie, go ahead, Lonnie.
We're not gonna open up
man.
that can of worms
No,
today.
Carry on.
Politics in this forum. This isn't the proper place. I'll keep my politics to myself.
I won't. Go ahead.
Lonnie, you had the floor.
For what?
Did you have a comment?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I got a little feedback that said you had a comment, so I just want to make sure you had the space.
Oh, okay. No.
Okay, can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah, hey, and so the other thing we have to touch on in our community is the effects from the last 30-something years here, you know, the war on drugs, the war on crime, you know, and how it's affected our immediate communities here. We're about 3 to 4 generations of some really lost, connections there in the fact that we've watched a lot of, I mean, we got young people right now, they watch their grandparents who were strung out on crack and drugs and things like that. And the trickle down effect of that type of thing of splitting up the home even more, a lot of young people being in and out of foster care, you know, and dealing with things. And what young person is gonna trust the system, man, when all they remember the system is, you know, you've been put in a foster home, and then the only therapist stuff that you could remember is you had to go see somebody, and next thing you know, you was on medication.
Yep.
Okay, I thank you. I got a comment from Terrence Dillian, and he says I think they should implement a program in school for at least 1 hour starting in kindergarten for kids to express a self and how they feel. I think that would help out a lot. No books, no homework. Okay, I mean, and I'll say this.
I feel that.
Our education system should play a part in our mental health for our kids. Because that's what they pay counselors $80,000 a year for when they graduate from college with and get an LLC license. You are there to assist. I mean, I don't know. Do y'all have a counselor at y'all school every day?
Not every day. It was
See,
more,
excuse me, not the kid, but see, they rotate the counselor, they rotate the nurse. Everybody in the education system they not playing the game the same way. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We didn't have a counselor every day, but it was more of a counselor for every grade period, and it was basically free to go whenever you need to, like in the middle of class or anything. If you feel like you need to speak about something, you need to speak to a counselor about something, you're free to ask for a pass and go, as long as it wasn't nothing too important going on in the actual class, which I feel like that's a little dumb, because if you need to talk about something, you should be free to go talk about something.
Yeah, true.
And
it should be in private too.
Yeah. So, I've always talked to Mr. Myers, which he's still there. I love Mr. Myers to death. He's like a second father to me. Like most of everything that was going on mental wise was caused in school. Like there's kids, like I was bullied all the way up till 7th grade, and that still plays a huge effect now.
PTSD.
And so, I'm just now getting out my shell, starting to be me, because I've always was judged of like, oh, you got glasses, oh, you skinny, oh, you the tall one, so you easy to take down. You know what I mean? It was just trying to get over that fact. And so, to cope with it and everything, I just sit in my room and just I make videos for others, make others laugh. Like all I want to do is just have a smile on somebody else's face. That's it.
But you know how the crazy thing is, you know how most people find their gift is going through pain. So you went through that painful situation, you were able to find something that you actually really cared about.
So it's like a two-part thing to that. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. I used to get chased home every day in the 7th grade, and it's funny how it works out. 3 of those guys I was hiring for a position, and 3 of them came to get a job. Guess who we didn't hire, right? Those folks. But I also was saying, no, but I'm saying, like, because you're smart, like, folks, like, hate themselves and they project it on other people. But, so, the therapy part, it didn't work, but I started recording, like, stories from my life. So I'm a crack baby, right?
Okay.
My mom, when she had me, wasn't on drugs. But everything in my neighborhood, in my house, crack touched it. Like, I will walk out the door, you'll see a hand-to-hand, or you'll see an auntie with a needle in her arm, or you'll see a shootout. Like, everything came back to crack. So I feel like it's a whole generation that who aren't physical crack babies, but like societal crack babies. And then you're 18, there's people I graduated high school with, that kids your age. So guess what? You're part of my tree. So on and so on. So
we're the ones who are being medicated from the crack babies.
yeah. So having the intergenerational conversations, and the reason why I think it's important to have the crossover. Sometimes we feel like we're the only ones that it happened to, and be like, man, how am I gonna deal with this? But like, you're not by yourself. Like, there's a whole bunch of people who went through that and didn't have the courage to say it on camera that I was bullied or all that because I wear glasses. I got on contacts, so I can't see either, brother. Like, so we're like the same thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, those folks don't really know who they are, so they just project it on you. So I didn't get your name. What's your name? Cameron, my bad, bro. So yeah, like, you're inspiring me. So keep it up, man. So this was worth like the price of admission just to hear like you and how you like dealing with it. So keep it up, bro.
Okay, we done hit the magic hour of 5 o'clock.
Been kicked out of better places.
And you know what, I have been too. But I went back around and snuck back in the back door and got kicked out again.
You want to keep going?
I got it.
We can keep going. You guys got another occasion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Engagement.
Yeah, well, we can just close with that.
No, y'all should keep.
Well, we keep going after this. But, my boss said, get ready to end.
Oh, well,
The boss lady.
my
Okay,
boss texted
question.
me about my wife.
What about things that are going on in kids' mind and they don't know what kind of help can they get? What's going on with your mind? Because I tell you, when I was young, I had a problem reading backwards. Back then in the 50s, nobody knew about that.
It was.
Yep.
And I was getting my ass tore up
Yeah.
for not knowing what's going on. You know, and the one guy that was helping me, Theodore Wilson, next door, the one guy that was helping me, my dad didn't like it. Put them comic books down. He had me reading comic books with the pictures and all that. He probably was buying the books, and he was curing me. And he stopped it right in the middle. And I'm telling you, I got the worst butt whipping anybody wanted to experience.
Man, sometimes we had to take an L to get a W. That's what somebody told me a long time ago.
You got whooped to learn how to read?
I don't think that's.
They didn't know about
I know.
reading backwards.
But that's a part of trauma though, because that was the first reaction to you doing something different to help challenge your perception and fix what you had something wrong with you. And the first thing they did response was, I'm gonna whoop you because you're not reading how I think you should read.
That's how the emotional support wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
Because
hard
he
part
didn't
he was talking about.
understand.
And then
And I love my dad.
like
He's
Mr.
the
Solomon
best dad in
said,
the world.
we watch him come home, he sit down, he get the big piece of chicken, then he go read the newspaper, and don't ask him nothing. Cause he feel he was doing his job. I'm providing for my family, but I'm gonna make sure you get an education.
He was asking, but I couldn't answer because I didn't know.
Well, and
You see what I'm saying?
and if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, but I'm trying to answer. Why is your grade so bad?
Yeah.
You know, why is this? You know, why you not doing good in school? And I'm there every day. I'm excited. You know, and I couldn't answer.
Did you parent your kids that way?
What?
Like,
kid.
Oh, obviously not.
There you go.
No, I was saying like a lot of this stuff is learned. A lot of stuff is learned behavior. Is what I'm saying. Like, so I'm glad that you weren't like.
Oh, no.
If your daughter came to you, you'd be like,
Hey,
hey,
I like I said, I love my dad to death.
Okay,
When he passed away, and you know, he was my best friend.
Man, that's how it always is. He
Right.
wanted the best for you. He wanted you to be better than what he
Right,
had. That's
right.
how it was
I
generational.
felt that.
It was
But he didn't know what was going on. And I said,
we got a lot of these.
So I gotta go, man. Thanks for
It was lovely meeting you, man.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, call me.
yeah, we need to do this again.
Oh, please.
Okay, love you. Okay, we need to do this. We're gonna.
Coming up to it.
Okay. Well, we're about to close. And
I want to thank everybody for joining in with us today. We're going to be at a close. But one thing I do want to let you all know before we close, we do have an event coming up for men, just for men. This is our H Pains and Automobiles event. This event will be on June 27th from 11 to 2 p.m. at Karen Alliance on Central. So that event is our H Pains and Automobile event, June 27th on Central at Karen Alliance.
Lonnie, you want to make a final comment?
Sure. I think this has been very productive. You guys are to be commended for the way you carried it out, the way you allowed people to have different thoughts and ideas. My closing comment to you beautiful black gentlemen, you're all geniuses. And if you don't believe it, then you just haven't found it yet. Find your genius.
Okay.
SaMario, I'm so proud of what you said that you accomplished. And Solomon, Jerald, what you guys have accomplished. What you've gone through to get to where you are. And not only that, but the breadcrumbs and legacy that you're leaving behind you. You see, that's the beauty of it. When you challenge that young brother, John, when you challenge that young brother that the second time provided the revelation that he had to get in a flight or fight mode, and he chose the flight. That's what, as he said earlier, we're in the fourth quarter. The three of us are, not you, SaMario.
I'm in first deal.
We're in the fourth quarter, maybe sneaking in overtime. That's right. And the only thing we got to leave you guys is education, enlightenment, information, and hopefully a legacy that you can take and carry forward.
Thank you.
So I just want to applaud you all. What's the young man's name there again?
This is Cameron.
Cameron. I'm so proud of you, brother.
Appreciate it.
I'm so proud of you to sit at the feet of elders and be willing to just absorb a little bit of knowledge. So that I can't say anything else than that. You guys have been fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank everyone for participating. All of the Zoom participants, everybody that tuned in on Facebook, YouTube. I want to thank all these gentlemen. A couple of gentlemen had things that they had to do, so they left. But in 364 days, we'll be doing this again. So bring a friend. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, SaMario. I want to thank everyone from No Static Radio for allowing us this platform to get out here and speak and bring energy in. I appreciate it. I'll say this every Tuesday for this month, 2 to 4, Bub got fired. The Hustling Wax Flow on No Static Radio. Y'all want to continue this conversation? Call in, check in.
Like and share.
We want to thank all of you again. And I want to thank the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition for allowing me to be a part of the best 501c3 in the world. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. I just want to thank the North Carolina. I mean, hey, I wasn't doing nothing but twiddling my thumbs, and I found something that I could do to help give back to somebody. And would you have anything in closing?
No, like I said earlier, I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting. This has been fabulous. I know you said 364 days, but I think we should do it again in maybe 6 months. But we'll see how we go from there. I think this is something that we can continuously have, a conversation that we should keep having, because it's something that we're going to constantly need.
Yeah, and we can update, come in and talk about more things and bring more things and bring more people.
And give a little bit more space and time for the certain conversation, because certain conversations are going to be a little bit more serious than others. So.
Okay,
And sometime I think you guys need to have something where you get some of the women that can ask us brothers some things that they don't understand about us that we.
So maybe we can do a combined group with the women in March. We can do something in March that combines the women's event and the men's event, and then we can ask those critical questions to each other.
That's right.
I got a woman right here that boss Miss Yvanka Hall. Would you like to say something in closing?
She turned her camera on. Let me see.
She did. Yeah, I know she do. Hello. Would you like to say something in closing? This is the president and founder of Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. Like the best person in the world and the best cook in the world. So when am I being invited to dinner? No, go ahead.
We'll be waiting.
For men, because men needed a way to have an outlet. I created the Ace Paints and Automobile, which is a men's health tune-up, which is actually a mental health tune-up as a way for men to do the things they like, which is to have a car show that allows them to be able to get health screenings. But for this is an opportunity for you all to talk. And so that's why I did invite women to the conversation. This is your conversation. This is your time for you to talk without us. Uninhibited discussions from a man's point of view. And I think that it's so important for men of all ages, particularly African American men, who have been downplayed on your contribution to America. For you all to have an opportunity to break bread together. And so for the young man that left off, I'm sorry that he didn't feel that he needed to stay. I think that everybody's viewpoint is so important. But I think that when we're in this, we have to understand that we have everybody in the room. And so everybody has to be given an opportunity to say the things they need to say, and not to have any judgment. And so I appreciate you all. I thank you all. I want you all to have a blessed day. And hopefully we can do this again. This is our 7th year with Ace Pains and with our talk with our brothers. And so I appreciate you all coming to talk to your brothers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to give you this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Winners dinner. Bye. I'm home.
You all have a good one.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. John, I love you. Tell Rick I love him. Tell all my babies in Minneapolis I love them, and I will be there because
hey,
I can go to Minnesota for like $19 one way.
That's my
flight.
My son right
hey,
there.
Which one?
Mason.
Mason, what's up?
Hi.
Give it up, bro.
What's up, dude?
We gonna have you here next week. Behind the mic. You got something to talk about? Sure?
My son joined in with us, guys.
He's a good dude. I like that Mason dude, man. I like both of your kids. Your kids are wonderful.
Okay. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to a special episode of Pumping It Up, the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, a talk with our brothers, past, present, and future. We'd like to thank Jerald Wax Solomon for coming in and hosting the event along with SaMario Hall Ford. And listen, you guys can listen to replays of this on Mixler.com or Mixcloud.com. Just type in No Static Radio in the toolbar for replays of this show and all others. You'd also check us out live on TuneIn for replays of this show and other shows. You can check it out on Facebook.com/No Static Radio LLC. You'd also check it out on our YouTube channel at No Static Radio, as well as Discover.tv. Thank you guys so much for coming in. This show is sponsored by the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition and sorry, you guys. The dedicated senior medical centers of Ohio, located in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, with 3 locations here to serve you. Thank you again so much, you guys. Make sure you check out the replays on Facebook and YouTube, as well as Mixler and Mixcloud, and we will talk to you later. Don't forget to tune in Mondays 2 to 4 for the Hustle and Wax Flow here on your voice of the revolution on staticradio.net, powered by Google, partner with Colors, again sponsored by Lamont Avenue Wines in Cleveland, regularly designed exclusively in the dedicated senior medical centers, with special shout out to the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. Peace out, you guys. Stay safe.